I want to get back to Arguing with Socialists, the book, in just a minute, but I have to talk to you about what's going on right now and get your take on it, because, you and I have a very optimistic worldview. You always see the disaster coming, and obviously sometimes I'm going to be right, but sometimes you're going to be right, and this has been a bad run. Where do you stand on what should happen next?
We have to get back to work. We have got to get back to work. And one of the, there's several things that I'm worried about. I'm very worried about this. The bailout, again, is going to the banks. The Fed is now the world's largest landowner. It's not going to work for a V-shape economy. We're probably about 15 to 18% unemployment right now. We'll find out in a couple of weeks. That's not going to get better fast. And I know a lot of people who are really struggling, who are small business people. We're going to see a lot of these people go under and not be able to survive. And I think, you go to a bank and you're getting now, last week it was like 2.8. You could get a loan for 2.8. Now I think it's 3.6. And if you ask, they'll say, well, the demand is up. Yeah, but you're getting the money for free. So why are you gouging me? Because you can. All the money that bailed your bank out came from me. You know what I mean? Came from the taxpayers.
Right.
And I think we are headed for real trouble. Donald Trump has to be, he's got a really good gut on him. He has got to use his gut and not listen to these so-called experts. He's got to listen to the American people, or this whole thing could tear us apart.
Because, the one thing that makes me trust Trump in this is I think that he has got a real investment in this economy. I don't always trust Trump, but I know that he wants this economy to work. What do you think he's going to do next, just as a guess?
I think he's going to open up the economy as soon as he possibly can. He's going to continue to get bashed for it. I think he's going to start taking Congress to task. There's, Adam Schiff is doing oversight now on all of these checks. Really? Are you, Adam? Because you're looking just for stuff on Donald Trump. Right now, dead people are getting checks. Are you even talking about that, Adam Schiff? So it's really bad. The other thing I will tell you, I heard your opening monologue, and you are spot on, not only about the WHO, but also Facebook and YouTube. When Facebook came out and said that they are going to be demonetizing and telling people exactly that you have been getting false information and then redirecting you to get the, let me quote, the credible information from the World Health Organization in order to ensure dangerous myths about the disease and its origin, blah, 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 are not proliferated. There's no way other to say you better be a subscriber to the Daily Wire or to the Blaze, because they are going to flood this with disinformation. It's one thing for CNN to report on a bunch of stuff that is absolutely wrong, because we can judge it ourselves. What Facebook is doing is, if they deem something wrong, they just smear us and delete us from your feeds.
Right.
That is a whole different kettle of fish, and extraordinarily dangerous.
It's the thing that bothers me most about the country today is this absolute program of silencing people. It is the worst. I can take any opinion as long as I can hear the opposite opinion, but when they shut people down, it really makes things worse. Let's talk about your book, Arguing with Socialists, because I was enjoying this so much. Why won't this thing die? This vampire that sucks all the energy out of every economy. Why can't we kill it?
I don't think we can kill it because it is in human nature to be kind and to help one another, especially with the youth. It's usually driven by the artists and the youth because the big bleeding heart. And it's good to have a heart, but it's also good to have a brain and couple the heart and the brain. There's this great letter from Thomas Jefferson where he debates his heart and his brain back and forth. He's in love with somebody. And he writes a letter from his heart to his brain. His brain responds back and forth. It's this great, great exercise. That's what needs to happen. We need to say, okay, this system doesn't work. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of a 20-something. Maybe your first memory is 9/11 and you saw the world shake apart, and maybe you remember mom and dad being afraid because they lost their money in the stock market or their job was destabilized and the world changed. Maybe you remember that. But you definitely will remember 2008 when the world fell apart and you saw the big government grow. You saw the banks get bailed out, but mom and dad got nothing. And now your next memory is this one where mom and dad are out on the ropes again. You don't want that. You look at this system now and say, this system is rigged. This system is totally unstable. It punishes people who do the right thing. I don't like this system. This isn't helping. That's who we're dealing with now. This is their experience. And so when you come to them and say, there's a better way, and they equate socialism with helping, they equate socialism with feeding people, helping the sick, or even Sweden. It is appealing. So what we have to do and what we did in the book is, we took apart Sweden and all of those lies. That is not a socialist nation. It was socialist, but they got out of it starting back, around the time that ABBA was dying because it wasn't working. And so they've gone to a much freer market than we are even. But more importantly, we look at, we define words. The very first chapter, we just define the words. Communism, and I didn't really realize this until we started doing research on the book, communism is not what Russia did. No one has ever done communism. Communism is the utopia. Communism is everybody lays down their guns and everybody puts their money in a big pile and everybody's happy. Well, that's never happened because they don't get past the middle step, which is socialism. Socialism is the part where you have to take it from others to give it to others. You need a strong man. You need a gun to be able to see, because there are people, like in our society, probably, I would hope it was much more than this, but I would say safe to say 30% of our nation will never go down that road. We will not stop becoming capitalist and believers in the free market. Well, what do? As a socialist, you have to stop those people because you're convinced utopia is right on the other end. You have to understand that it is socialism that has killed millions, not communism, socialism.
One of the key things I think that attracts people to socialism is it sounds a lot like Jesus. Jesus said, give your money to the poor, had a lot of care for the poor. What's the difference between a socialist and Jesus?
Jesus never said, give your money to that guy and he'll give it to somebody else. He said, you do it. Socialism does not change people's hearts. In fact, it hardens hearts. I remember this became so true to me when I lived in New York City. Because I'm a kind of guy that I grew up in small towns and everything else. And even in my town here, just outside of Dallas, I'll be walking down the street and I'll see a piece of garbage or something in a garbage can, and I'll pick it up and put it in the garbage can. In New York, there are so many restrictions and so many people that have been hired and so many departments and everything else, and you are taxed to death. I lived in New York for the first year. This happened to me within 12 months of living there. I came up to my office building, and there was garbage blowing everywhere in the streets. Without even thinking, I said, who the hell is responsible for this? Why isn't the city doing something? I just became angry. I didn't even consider doing anything myself because that's what we pay people to do. So why is this problem still here? Am I not paying enough in taxes? It doesn't change your heart. It hardens you.
It distances you from the things that have to be done. I got to stop there, I'm sorry to say, but Arguing with Socialists is the book. The author is the great Glenn Beck. Glenn, I hope you'll come back on, talk some more. I always love talking to you.
Anytime, I love you. Anytime, Andrew, I'm a huge fan.
Thanks a lot, Glenn.
And by the way,
all right.
You have one of the best addicts. You have one of the best addicts of anybody I've ever seen.
Isn't it cool? I know. It's it's a nice house.
It really is.
Next time you're in town,
really
come by.
Is.
Yeah.
It really is. Okay. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot. Everything is tickety-boo, including the massive growth of the Daily Wire YouTube channel. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and catch all our future videos right here on YouTube.